Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy. Like I mentioned in my update video, I was thinking about doing a top 10 or top 5 best and worst summer films because I saw a lot of summer films this year, all of which were pretty much good. You know, I enjoyed most of them, but there were those few ones that I didn't really like, and I realized that I didn't really see a really terrible and shitty movie. I was lucky and fortunate enough to miss all the bad ones. I didn't see Smurfs 2, I didn't see Percy Jackson, I didn't see R.I.P.D., I didn't even see After Earth, but I already knew After Earth was gonna be terrible. Had I seen After Earth, I probably would have put it number 1 on my list, but I didn't see any of those bad movies. However, I have seen a few movies that really missed the mark for me. They could have been something good, but overall they were just disappointing and kind of came off as blah. And so instead of doing a top 10 worst summer movies, instead I'm gonna count down my top 6 summer films that I found very disappointing. And also keep in mind as you're watching this video that these are just my personal opinions on these movies. You don't have to fully agree with me or feel like I'm personally attacking you. These are just my thoughts, and if you don't agree with them, I mean, that's fine. Everyone has their own opinions on certain movies, and you might disagree with me on a few choices that I have on this list. But just keep an open mind and we're gonna get along. Kicking the list off at number 6, and I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, Pacific Rim. Like I mentioned in that review, I loved the spectacle of the movie. The action scenes were fantastic, but they weren't enough to hold this entire movie together. I needed more substance, and I didn't get that. The story is cliche and par for the course, and most of the characters are wooden and underdeveloped, and you really don't care about them. But I still put it very low on this list because I did appreciate the effort that they put into the special effects and action scenes. They were the reasons to go see the film. But other than that, this film doesn't really offer much to me, and that's why it's number 6. Number 5 is The Purge. Now, The Purge had a lot of things going for it. It had an interesting concept that had so much potential and some great actors attached to the project. So you would have thought that this movie would be amazing, but it kind of just fell short. Instead of focusing on the purge on a national scale, they just focus on this one family on the day of the purge, which is kind of boring. I mean, it only shows one factor of how the purge is. I would have loved to see a grander scale for the purge, and that's where it missed the mark. Not only that, but it was very predictable, very cliche, and it wasn't scary. I mean, if a scary movie is not scary, then it has failed in the job that it needed to do. It's like going to McDonald's and you order large fries, right? And you expect them to be salty, but when you take a bite out of the first french fry, you realize there's no salt in any of your french fries, which makes them dull french fries. That's exactly what The Purge is. You go to this movie expecting to be scared, and there are no scary elements whatsoever. Number 4 is The Hangover Part 3. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of this franchise, but I did find the first 2 very funny. They had a lot of laugh out loud moments. The third one has little to no laugh out loud moments. I mean, there were some funny moments, but not anything that made you go, oh my god, that was really hilarious. The last scene in the entire movie was probably the funniest scene. That was during the credits, so other than that, the film just comes off as kind of boring and dull. I mean, it just lost the essence and the fun that the other 2 movies had about these 3 friends who after a night of drinking have to figure out what they did the night before and find this other person. In the third movie, there is no real hangover situation. They just have to find this one person and they get thrown into crazy shenanigans, and it's just not as fun. Number 3 is World War Z, yet another movie that's just blah. I mean, you really don't care about what happens to any of the characters. Most of the scenes are repetitive, where Brad Pitt goes to this one area, he meets a guy, then zombies break in, shit hits the fan, and he has to move to another area, rinse and repeat. And the fact that the movie was a rated PG-13 zombie movie just made it feel like a watered down version of the zombie movie that it could have been. It could have been an intense and fun thrill ride following these people trying to survive the zombie apocalypse, and instead it just turned out to be a 99-cent version of any zombie movie that you could see either on TV or on DVD. Number 2 is coincidentally a sequel, Grown Ups 2. Now, unlike most people, I really enjoyed the first Grown Ups, but Grown Ups 2 just felt like a really needless and forced sequel just to grab a quick buck. It's missing the essence that made the first one really good. Now it just comes off as kind of pathetic. The jokes are weak, the characters are annoying. I forgot 98% of this film. The only thing I really remember is that really cool throwdown at the end of the movie. That was pretty interesting, but you have to sit through the entire movie to get to that one point. and it's just not worth it. Come on, Adam Sandler, come back to us. I know you can make funny movies. I know you can. And my number one most disappointing summer movie is actually a movie that didn't disappoint me because I knew it was gonna be bad. The minute that I saw the trailer, I just thought to myself, it's not gonna be any good. And in fact, it is the worst summer movie I saw this year, and that is The Lone Ranger. The movie as a whole is just dull and uninteresting. There's not really anything memorable or exciting until the last 20 minutes, but it takes you 2 hours to get to that point. And to sit through 2 hours of boring characters, dull situations, and a boring overall story, it's just not worth it. And it really breaks my heart because I really like Johnny Depp. I think he's a great actor, but I really think that he needs to stop playing these silly characters and just play a normal character for once. I'm kind of sick of his shtick now. And I do think that Armie Hammer could be a good lead actor if he was given material that wasn't wooden and derived of any fun. This movie was way too long with scenes that just felt so unnecessary that just added to the runtime, making this movie longer than it needed to be. They really should have trimmed this movie down to a reasonable length that would have made it a little more enjoyable. But I mean, it really doesn't matter how long the movie is. If the script is terrible, then the movie's gonna be terrible no matter how long it is. And as I mentioned in my review, the biggest offense that this movie committed was the complete waste of talent of Ruth Wilson, who is a fantastic actress who should have been given a much better role instead of this useless damsel in distress. She is way better than the role that they gave her. But overall, this movie is generic, dull, and way too long with characters and situations that you really don't care about, and by the time you leave the movie, you forgot damn near everything about it. And that is why The Lone Ranger is my number one most disappointing movie, and those were my top 6 most disappointing summer films that I saw this year. And I would like to know, what is the most disappointing summer film that you saw this year? Make sure you comment below and let me know. Also, if you like the design of my shirt, you can go check out my good friends at boomslank.com. They make really cool anime designer t-shirts. Go check them out. They have really cool t-shirts. Go check out my Facebook page. I'll be posting updates and all other cool stuff on there. And also stay tuned for my top 10 best summer films. And until then, guys, hit that subscribe button. If you're new to my channel, welcome to the Black Critic Guy. Like this video if you really enjoyed it. And I'm Tony Watley II from the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.